7 foods to avoid with high blood pressure over age 50. It's not just about salt shakers at the dinner table, it's about the amount of sodium you get from the foods you eat daily. High blood pressure or hypertension is a condition that affects about 1 in 3 adults. According to the American Heart Association, consuming too much sodium can increase your risk of developing hypertension or high blood pressure. Here's a list of the 7 common foods to avoid if you have high blood pressure. Number 1, sodium. Salt is a major player in the high blood pressure game. Studies have shown that reducing salt intake can lead to lower blood pressure, which is great news for people over age 50 who want to avoid developing high blood pressure. Salt is found in many of our favorite foods, and it's easy to overdo it without even realizing it. The American Heart Association recommends getting no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. That's equivalent to 1 teaspoon of salt. If you don't know how much sodium is in your food, start by checking out the nutrition label. If you're eating at home, try using spices instead of salt to season your dishes. You can also use lemon juice or vinegar instead of salt on salads or vegetables. If you're eating out, ask for no salt added to your meal when possible. Number 2, deli meats. The key to avoiding unhealthy deli meats is to look for nitrate-free varieties. Sodium can raise blood pressure, so it's best to stick with those that contain less than 20% of your daily recommended value. In addition to being high in sodium, most deli meats are processed and preserved with added preservatives such as nitrates, which have been linked to cancer if eaten regularly over long periods of time. Nitrates may also lower the body's ability to absorb calcium and iron, which are both essential nutrients, so keep this in mind when buying deli meat products. Number 3, fermented foods. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, pickles, and kimchi may be beneficial for some people with high blood pressure. These foods are rich in probiotics, which are good bacteria that help your body fight off bad bacteria and yeast. However, these foods also contain a lot of salt and sodium, which can raise blood pressure over time. If you have high blood pressure to begin with, it's best to avoid eating a lot of fermented foods because it could cause your blood pressure to rise even more than usual. If you want to eat fermented foods but prevent them from causing an increase in your blood pressure, then it's best to use them sparingly or limit yourself to eating only small amounts. It's also important not to combine fermented foods with salty dishes, as this will increase your amount of sodium in each serving. Number 4, canned soups. Canned soups are a go-to for many people, but if you're over 50 and have high blood pressure, you might want to reconsider. Canned soups often contain high levels of sodium, which can increase your blood pressure by causing fluid retention. If you already have high blood pressure, this can cause further complications, so it's best to avoid them altogether or at least limit your intake. Instead of eating canned soups, try making your own instead. You'll be able to control how much sodium goes into your meal as well as choose healthier ingredients. Making homemade soup also means you don't have to worry about preservatives or added sugars. Just make sure you're using fresh ingredients whenever possible. Number 5, excess sugar. If you're over 50, you should avoid excess sugar. It's not just because it's bad for your weight, it's also bad for your heart. In fact, according to a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, people who consume too much added sugar are more likely to develop high blood pressure. This is especially true if you eat a lot of processed foods or drink sweetened beverages every day. And while it may seem like no big deal to indulge in a little dessert now and then, doing it too often can actually increase your risk of developing a chronic disease like diabetes or heart disease. The good news is that there are plenty of alternatives to sugar that are still delicious and satisfying. Try using fresh fruit instead of canned fruit cocktail for your next dessert, or swap out regular soda for sparkling water with lemon slices or cucumber slices in it. Number 6, fried foods. When it comes to foods that should be avoided with high blood pressure for people over age 50, fried foods are at the top of the list. fried foods are high in salt and can cause an increase in triglycerides and LDL cholesterol, which can lead to plaque buildup in your arteries and increase your risk of heart disease. They also have a tendency to be fatty and loaded with cholesterol, which can contribute to poor heart health. So what are some better alternatives? Try baking or steaming your food instead. If you're craving something crispy and crunchy, try using PANKO breadcrumbs or cornmeal instead of frying in oil or butter. You'll still get that satisfying texture without all of the extra calories. Number 7, fast food meals. The last thing anyone wants to hear when they're trying to eat healthy is that their favorite food is off the menu. But that's exactly what we have to tell you about fast food. With high blood pressure, it's important to avoid fast food and other processed foods because they tend to be high in sodium and low in nutrients, which can make your blood pressure worse. So what should you eat instead? Try these suggestions for fast food alternatives. Number 1, grilled chicken sandwiches with lettuce, tomato, and no mayo or cheese, but add ketchup if you like. Number 2, a baked potato with low-fat sour cream and chives. Number 3, a Cobb salad without croutons or bacon bits. Instead of drowning your salad with dressing, try dipping your fork into the dressing and then taking a bite of your salad. That way you can control excess calories and sodium. High blood pressure is a serious condition that can damage your heart and arteries. It's important to talk to your doctor about these foods and how they could affect your high blood pressure. Food should be enjoyed in moderation or not at all if you have high blood pressure, but they aren't the only factors that can impact your health in this age group. If you're over 50 with high blood pressure, it's important that you don't just change your diet and leave everything else alone. You'll want to make sure you're getting enough exercise and getting enough sleep also. The foods we eat have a huge impact on our health. That's why it's important to make sure you're eating foods that are healthy and nutritious, especially if you have high blood pressure. The key is to start small and build up over time. Start by making one of the 7 foods listed above a staple in your diet and slowly add more as time goes on. And in no time at all, you'll be well on your way to managing high blood pressure naturally and effectively. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you on the next video.